G'day guys, it's Kelvin from the Coaching Company News. Well, I'm going to be looking over some logs and stuff for an ECU. Now, this one, I actually sent Phil an ECU. Phil's in the USA, and he has got a 4Runner, and it's got a 1UZ non-VVTi. It's got an early thick rod engine in it. And he had a standard management. He did a pretty good nice job on the standard management, but it didn't go as well as he would have liked. So he ordered a Lynx Storm kit from me, coil and plug Storm, and he got it in, got it sorted, running really nice, and then a disaster happened. I'll find a photo of it, it wasn't running quite right, but I'll find a nice photo. Can we see the problem right there? Now I have seen this before. Of course, there's a bolt missing, and then it breaks the key off as well and spins. Sometimes because it's not tight enough. Sometimes there's some chattering. Sometimes I can see what's going on. It's a little hard to see in that one, isn't it? But it looks like it's been flopping around for a little bit. It's a bit of weird. Don't really know on that one. But anyway, that broke. And then the next one I asked about if he'd just done an oil change or what the oil was like. And I asked about oil pressure logs. And he was really good because he actually sent me a tune file. This is tune file. And he sent me some log files, which is really nice when I get my instructions followed, which was every time you send me a log file, send me a tune file. First log test and log 2. Let's go with the big one, So now we'll have some log in there, and of course, why did it break that nut off? Sometimes it's because they're loose and not done up, or sometimes they're over tightened, and sometimes it's because the cam locks up or grabs, which is bad. And in this case, I'll show you. See right there? Just a little bit of grabbing. That's not good. A little bit of video, you see, it's just grabbed on that cam cap. So it's probably nipped up enough, just momentarily, broken the keyway. And so I think he's going to pull the heads off and he's going to get the machine. But he did ask me to look over the logs. And that's really disappointing because it was running so beautifully. Really, really nice. This is the install that he's done. And so I guess we made the loom over here in New Zealand. We test it and check it's all right. And I calibrate everything up. And then it got sent over for him to install. He asked a few questions. And look, does a lovely, lovely job. You saw the idle speed control unit. Maybe it'll show up, but yeah, there we go. There's the idle speed that's included. And he got the R8 coils over in the US. He's changed injectors because he's got other plans in the future. And he did put in some injector data. He did ask me a silly question about it was running a little bit richer than he would have liked and what should he do? And I'm like, well, it's a tunable ECU, Phil. We're good mates. We've become very good mates. And if I'm ever in the US, I'm going to go visit him if I'm in his area. Because he's done a really nice job. And other things I do now, the EFI temp sensor that was shown there, I always supply them. Because I'm kind of over people putting new wiring looms on with old EFI temp sensor. So I solved the problem by supplying it with the kit. And a new air temp sensor. And then hopefully, excuse me, guys, listen to me and put in the sensor upgrade kit with the oil pressure and the other stuff, and I don't have it on this computer. Oh no! Right, we're going to have to put in a log for oil pressure, aren't we? Right. So I'll show you while I'm here. I'll show you how to add some stuff to a page. So logging. Let's put in a time plot. Add a group. Add a parameter. I'm going to start with. I does it have RPM or is it engine speed? Engine speed. They did put it in, so we go engine speed, add a group, add a parameter, and then I'm going to go oil, and we actually want it to read oil pressure, that one there. Should we put an oil temp as well? Let's do that. Add group, add parameter, oil, and there's oil temperature. And I'm thinking I'll put engine temp in as there as well. So add a group, add a parameter. And I tried just to show you guys how I'm doing, what I'm doing. Oh, what am I was doing engine temp. So I could just go temp, couldn't I? And you'll see here, it's got AN temp, ECT, but I actually want it to be the engine temperature. ECU temperature, charge temperature, let me just check. I might use one of those others, but I thought you gotta be careful because sometimes they bring up a voltage and it's not what I'm wanting. I'm actually wanting the engine temperature. Let's go with this one anyway for the moment. Nope, that's not what I want. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go analog inputs. I know why. I was going to find another spot. I'll continue what I was doing. I will find it in another spot. So down here we go temperature. And the reason I couldn't find it because you got to put ECT, not engine temp. ECT. There we go. ECT. And then we get it. And we push it out here. And we push it out here. And so this is the screen that I have when I'm driving. And I'm wanting to check oil pressure on an engine. I have this big screen here up, so that's why this screen is created on this laptop. This isn't the main one that I take to racetracks. This is the one that I have at home for editing videos and doing some log data, but I don't always have, depending on which one I load. So if I load a different tune, it will have everything in it. Otherwise, it goes back to my default here. Okay. So what have we got going on here? I'm just going to stretch it over this one for the moment because this is weird. So here's idling. Oh, okay. Now, when we look at this, and you know, I said it looked weird. It does look weird because it's jumping around a lot. Okay, so that is because on here, it's actually a very, very small window. So if you tighten up your resolution, you get more variance as such. I could make it look like a flat line. And this is where people can get caught out when they're looking at data. Let me see if I can change it, eh? If I go properties, I go oil pressure, and I go min max, and the minimum display, now it is in kPa, not PSI, and I can't change it in here, and I go, so it's in, and I'd actually expect a lot more oil pressure than that as well, so something isn't quite right there. Like, I should have been getting like 600, not 5. So there is a problem. But say I went 600. I'm going to check I'm using the right numbers. See, now it's a nice straight line. But you see, it's also just about 0. As in none. Not much pressure. Okay? 100 kPa is about 15 psi. That's close enough for the moment. So 200 kPa is 30. 300 is 45. 400 is 60. And I'd expect it when it was cold. Mind you, this is at temp. Sorry, this is temp. Okay, so dead cold, I'd expect it to be 60 to 90 at idle. And when you revved it, I'd expect it to go 90 psi, 90 psi. So 600 kPa. Yeah, 600 kPa. So it didn't have any oil pressure. That's bad. And now we know why an engine failed. It didn't have oil pressure. Let's go look at the tune. So I'm going to check some numbers here. Configuration, settings. I'm going to look at the analog inputs. I'm going to look at the oil pressure. (150 psi) TI sensor. That is the correct one. These error values are set, so the sensor is set correctly. Okay, that is the correct settings for the sensor that was fitted. It's within a couple of psi, so that is fine. So why didn't we have oil pressure? Why did we not have oil pressure? I'm going to change that scale. Alright, so properties, oil pressure. And it doesn't really matter because it was so low anyway. Okay, that's interesting. Answers some questions, doesn't it? And this is why we have logging. I'm just wondering if it's not reading the... Nah, the data should come over fine. Okay, let's open that other log, that other data, shall we? Logging, open log file. And we've got to find where it is in my laptop. Downloads. I took that one. It had no oil pressure. It had 5 kPa. The oil light should have been on. Okay, let's have a look there. So this one has auxiliary outputs, GP output, buzzer, oil warnings. You see the buzzer was going off. It doesn't have an oil light output, and he disconnected the buzzer. Phil, the buzzer was going off for a reason. It had no oil pressure. There's the problem. Okay, well, we found it. We know why it failed. It didn't have oil pressure. Not a fault of the management. The management was set up. The man unplugged the oil pressure, the oil buzzer. So in here, in the warnings, oil warnings, oil pressure is less than 75 kPa. 75 is about 10 psi. So the buzzer would have been going off. I'd like to know what it would. I think he had a little gauge. I'm not sure what it was showing on that, but that was definitely an issue there. No oil pressure, fail engine. So that's how we found it, and we looked through it. I know I've been bambling, and I might have got mixed up with the pressures, but this is real. I'm not even going to edit this. I'm going to leave it as it is. I hope that's been helpful, and we'll talk again soon. We'll catch you later. Right, I just had a quick chat with Phil. He didn't have his gauge set up, so he didn't see it. Now, I've seen this a little bit with guys, and I had another guy the other day, and he was saying that the link wasn't showing the oil pressure, it was showing the voltage. And that's in the screen here. Here's the voltage. I can't work with voltage. I need a pressure. Okay, so let's have a look at where we find it so we don't have this problem again. Tuning. Oil pressure, right there in kPa. So if you go from the configuration, okay, configuration screen, and you click into the tuning screen, it changes to actual real figures that we can work with. So configuration there, so here we've got your map voltage, fuel pressure voltage. TPS voltage is actually really handy because you should check that's in the right spot. So ECT voltage, but here in tuning, we actually have the engine coolant temperature, we have the inlet air temp, and we have the oil pressure. Can also be found in the live data here, runtime values. I call it runtime values and live data the same. Okay, general right here. Now, so if you actually look in the analog, we'll do it again. Look, analog, there's your voltages. But if you click on general, guess what? Oil pressure. It actually has the pressure in kPa. Temperature, fuel pressure. So those are where you find that stuff. Another thing, if guys have trouble working in those values, because it can be confusing, and we have preferences up here somewhere. Connect preferences, units. There we go. So you can change some stuff around if you really wanted to, okay? Though it can change the other stuff where I don't like it. So I like it in lambda, and I do like it in Celsius, but you guys over in States might want it in Fahrenheit. Okay, so set it up how you want it, how you like it, but that's where you find it, not at a voltage. It actually has the proper pressure readings.